Now, it was the scandal that rocked the nation, dubbed the Great Bank Heist. The looting of VBS Bank robbed thousands of people of their life savings. And yet, justice has not fully been served. While there have been arrests and many people did get their money back, there has been little movement in court. Rupiwa Madzena is here to tell us where we are currently with a case, Rupiwa, that's been going on actually for how many years now?
4 years.
And how much money?
4 years.
4 years. And how much money was nicked?
2 billion. Let's take a look at that, Sally. So this is a case that was quite a staggering one in the nation because many elderly people lost a lot of money in the looting of VBS. VBS, by the way, you'll remember, came into prominence in 2016 when former President Jacob Zuma went there to apply for a 7 million rand loan. And of course, there are questions that remain about whether the former president actually paid all that money back. But let's look at those who got the lion's share of the money that was stolen at VBS. Now, there are over 26 people and institutions that have been implicated in the looting of VBS funds, but these were the ones that got the lion's share, 325 million rand to the chairperson and Vale Investments there, Chipiwa Matodzi, and of course the CEO at the time, Andile Ramabonga, getting some money there as well. Now let's take you to the next part of this story in terms of when we started to see the wheels of justice rolling. So on the 17th of June 2020, 8 people were arrested. These were the first 8 that got arrested in this particular situation. And interestingly, Mr. Chifiwa Matodzi was the one who was dubbed as the kingpin for the operations of emptying out the bank at the time. Of course, we had Mr. Philip Tritter, who was the chief financial officer at the time. He pleaded guilty and he was then sentenced to 10 years minus 3, which means he got 7 years, which he's now spending in prison at the moment. And then we had, of course, quite embarrassingly for the organization, KPMG auditor, Mr. Sipho Malaba there, who was also implicated in dodgy accounting practices in terms of cooking the bank's books. We go on further. The wheels of justice once again move 1 year later, where we saw more people getting arrested. So that's 8 more people, bringing it to 16 people at this stage who had been arrested on the 11th of March 2001. There is some movement currently with this particular group of people, which include Danim Caesar, Limpopo's treasurer, another businessman associated with the ANC, Mr. Kabelo Matsepe, and Robert Madzonga, who was the COO of VBS at the time. There's a lot that's happening in court right now, in that it's being argued by Danim Caesar's lawyers that he have a separate trial from the other implicated people. That, of course, has caused quite a number of delays. And then, of course, we've had a number of them also changing lawyers constantly. So the judge then declaring at the end, we will not decide on a trial date or anything of the sort until everybody sorts out their grievances. So that's where we are with this case, but there is some movement. Now let's see what happened on Tuesday. On Tuesday we saw 6 more arrests, 5 at court. 1 gentleman was guarded by police officers as he was in hospital at the time of the arrest. We haven't been furnished with details of who exactly they are, but we are told they are between the ages of 37 and 45, and they got a 5,000 rand bail. So this is very interesting because over the last 4 years, we've seen about 22 people get arrested for the heist, and there's only been 1 conviction, Sally.
It's astonishing. So 25th of May, in fact, that was this month, just a couple of days ago. So they're still making arrests. They want to gather everyone together and do one big case. It just seems like it's taking forever. And there's so many cases like this, aren't there?
You know what's painful about it, Sally, is that a lot of the elderly people who had their money stolen from them will probably pass on before they see justice being served.
Now, am I right that one of the big banks came to their rescue and a lot of the poor elderly people did get their money? Am I right?
So Nedbank was tasked by the South African Reserve Bank to give back up to 100,000 rand.
So they still lost?
Yes, so up to 100,000 rand of the savings that were lost by people. So many people did get some of their savings back, but there were those who had pension funds of about 600,000 rand and more, and they haven't got, all they got back was that 100,000 rand. I interviewed one gentleman once who cried in my package, actually, that I'd put together, saying he worked delivering newspapers his whole life. He'd invested all his savings, pension savings, 600 and some odd, and he only got like 100,000 rand from
I remember at the time those so heartbreaking images of those poor people queuing outside the bank day after day after day. It's an important story. Thank you very much for that update. Much appreciated. Rupiwa Madzena.